Hi everybody, how's it going? Mark here. Hello. And I thought I'd do a review video today. Why not? Before I start with the reviews of some of the comics that I picked up on Saturday, I just thought I'd show you some comics that I've been sent through the post. We have issue 2 of America's Got Powers. Really enjoyed the first issue of this, so I'm looking forward to reading that one. And we also have issue 3 of New Dead Wardians, which is something different. It's not too bad, so we'll see how that goes. And as well as that, I thought I'd show you this. As you probably saw, I'm starting to play Magic the Gathering, and this is my event deck that I picked up from eBay fairly cheaply, that I managed to pick up from the post office today now that the bank holidays are finished. This is the Innistrad event deck, and I think it's for the white cards. So at the moment I've got quite a few white cards. I'm going to have to get some more cards from other decks, just so I've got a fairly decent set to play with whenever I get a chance to play it. So there you go. That's what has been sent to me, or I've picked up in the last couple of days. And cracking on with the reviews, I'll start off with, from Image and Shadowline, we have Grim Leaper #1, and this is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. How can I describe this? It's like Deadman from DC Comics and Quantum Leap put together. It's about a guy who is cursed. We're not quite sure how he's been cursed, but he doesn't die. His bodies die, but he doesn't die. And when the body he's in dies, he ends up getting sent to limbo, where he sees the white light, and just before he gets there, he sees a picture in front of him of the next person he's going to be going into, and the picture eats him, and the next thing he knows, he wakes up and he's in this other person's body. The only other thing is that when he dies, he doesn't die normally. He dies quite horrifically. When we first meet the main character in this comic, he's going to the funeral of one of his previous bodies, and when he leaves the funeral, he gets decapitated by a wayward articulated lorry tyre. He jumps into the next body, and this is where he meets this girl who he finds out is also cursed. Sadly, before he gets a chance to actually meet her and to figure out what's going on with the two of them, she ends up dying in a horrific way by falling down an open manhole cover and breaking her neck. Now, you might think that's quite a weird premise, a weird story in that, but it's a really good story. It's really well done. The artwork, even though it is quite, there is a slight bit of grotesqueness to the artwork. I'll show you a bit there. There's a slight bit of grotesqueness to the artwork, but it goes well with the story. It doesn't detract. In fact, if anything, I think it might add a little bit to the story. So yeah, this is by Curtis J. Weeb and Aloysiu C. Santos. And again, you'll have to excuse me if I've pronounced anybody's name wrong. But yeah, Grim Leaper is absolutely brilliant. It's I think it's a 4-issue miniseries, and I can't wait to pick up #2 because this is really good. What do we have next? We have I'm going to have to be really quick at showing you this cover because this is the offensive cover. It's by Garth Ennis and John McCrea, and it's Dix #4 from Avatar. There you go. That's all you're getting off that one. I've loved this comic series since I first read it in, I think it was about 1992. It was first brought out, and that was brought out by Comico. This is by Avatar, and it's all colour. The whole thing with this story is it follows 2 Irish guys who, they're not the brightest pennies in the pool, and they're trying to every time they're trying to make money quick, but every time they do a get rich quick scheme, it always completely backfires to them on them, and people usually die in quite graphic and horrific ways. But the it's very violent, it's very grotesque, but the violence is so over the top, and it's so cartoony that you just laugh at it. It's, you know, I mean, somebody gets, let's have a look what we got here. Somebody can't really show you this bit. Suffice to say, it's a farmer, a one-armed farmer in a field of sheep, wearing nothing but his cap and a pair of wellies and a feed bag attached to his person in a certain way. This guy's stood in the middle of this field of sheep, and he ends up getting decapitated by an aeroplane. Yeah, it's the violence is just so out there and completely weird that you just laugh at it. It's, you know, it's somebody else gets put into a thresher. Other people get what else we got here? Other people get dropped into a silage hole. You know, it's like I said, it's grotesque, but you just can't help but laugh at the violence. It's like Tom and Jerry, really, but with, you know, more blood and stuff going on in the place. Yeah, it's just hilarious. It's a no-brainer. You just leave your brain to one side and you read it and you laugh. Really, well, I do anyway. If you've got some kind of weird, sick, twisted sense of humour like me, you will do. So yeah, the only thing I have against this comic is the cover price. It's $3.99. But there are worse comics out there that are priced at $3.99. So yeah, if you've got a really twisted sense of humour, this is definitely the kind of comic you need to be picking up. In complete comparison, we have next a comic that is really gone downhill over the last few months. It's Demon Knights #9. Sorry. And to show you how bad it is, I read this comic, I was going to do a review on the comic, and now I'm about to do the review on the comic. Even flicking through the pages, I can't actually remember what happened in the comic. That's how much of an impact it's had on me. I mean, Demon Knights has been in my top 10 comics, at least from DC, for the last 5 months, and at least the last 5 issues have been really good. Since issue 6, it's just gone downhill. It's plodding along. The stories just seem to be going round and round in circles. The artwork's still nice. Artwork's still really nice, but it is just, it's not doing anything. And I think this is something that a lot of DC, the new 52 DC comics, is happening to a lot of them. They're just plodding along. They're not doing anything, and you know, it's boring, really. Very dull comic. In complete contrast to that, if you're looking for a fantasy sword and sorcery kind of comic, I would suggest picking up Magic the Gathering from IDW. Now, I haven't really read these two. This is issue 3 and this is issue 4. And I'll admit, the only reason why I picked them up was because they had free Magic the Gathering cards with them. But flicking through them, I was impressed. The artwork in it, absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it's quite dark, the artwork, as in the colour scheme. That's because it's at night time. But I mean, I don't know if there's actually sharp well on here. There's a splash page. I think the artwork in it is absolutely fantastic. I'm going to see if I can pick up issues 1 and 2 of this, because I was really enthralled to see what actually happened previously. And I think you definitely need to get issues 1 and 2. That's issue 3. Really nice painted cover there. And, oh, sorry, punched my laptop. That's issue 4. And I think even if you're not really into the whole Magic the Gathering game or anything like that, if you're looking for a nice, really nice looking and looks like quite entertaining sword and sorcery comic, you could do a lot worse than this. You could do a hell of a lot worse than Magic the Gathering. There you go. And next we have from Avatar again. This Magic the Gathering was from IDW, by the way. We have from Avatar and David Latham and Raphael Ortiz. We have Dan the Unharmable, and this is brilliant as well. Absolutely brilliant. I'll show you. This is the wraparound cover. As with most comics from Avatar, you've got at least 2, 3, 4, 5 variant covers to choose from. This is a wraparound cover, which I thought was pretty good. And here we have the main title character, Dan, and he's your average slacker. He doesn't really do much. He'd rather sit down, listen to his music, and sleep. The only time he ever does anything is if he needs money for the next 5 days. The only difference is that he's indestructible, and also it looks like he has some kind of super strength as well. We see him in the comic getting hit by a baseball bat. He gets 7 shades of proverbial kicked out of him. He gets his face smashed into the side of a car. He gets set fire to. He jumps out of a multi-story car park, and he just walks away completely unfazed. The only time he does get phased is when his CD player and his CD gets damaged, and then you really don't want to be on his bad side. I won't go too much detail for the comic. Suffice it to say, it is a really good read. There's some quite funny bits in there, and there's some pretty, as with most Avatar comics, there's some quite, I suppose, grotesque scenes in there, like where he punches somebody in the groin and puts his fist straight through them, which is, you know, you'd imagine it'd be pretty grotesque. But on the whole, it's a really good read. The only gripe again I have with it is that it's $3.99, and I just wish that comic book companies would bring their prices down, because it just makes no sense to me that they would charge so much. I mean, it's $4 for a comic. $4 for one comic. I remember when you used to be able to get 5 comics for £1, which I suppose would be about, well, supposed to be about 4 comics for $1, I suppose, in the exchange rate sort of thing. You know, I know it's sort of paper and inflation and all that stuff, but come on, $3.99 for a comic. It is good though. It is a really good one. What else do we have from DC this time? And this one's not that bad. It's Animal Man Annual #1. And in this one, we meet previous avatars of the green and the red, and we find out a bit more about the rot, and we find out a bit more about the green and the red. And it turns out that there is always an avatar of the green, there's always an avatar of the red, and there's always the rot. And they're in this constant battle between the 3 of them. Just every now and then the rot manages to not defeat the green and the red, but it gets a bit stronger. It's a nice little side story for Animal Man. This does go in pretty well with the crossover I'd imagine it's going to be coming up for Animal Man and Swamp Thing around about issue 12. I think they're going to start doing that. This one goes straight into issue 10 of Animal Man, and yeah, it's written by Jeff Lemire, which is, you know, he's the normal writer for Animal Man. It's a pretty good comic, not too bad. Again, the only gripe I have is it's got a $4.99 price tag on it, but yeah. Yeah, if you're getting Animal Man and Swamp Thing, I'd imagine you'll be picking this up as well. But if you haven't picked it up yet, definitely worth picking up that one. What else do we have? This is good. From Dark Horse Comics, we have a new 3-issue miniseries by Peter Hogan and Steve Parkhouse, and it's Resident Alien. This is number 0, and this is number 1. It starts off with number 0. It is about an alien that crash lands in the desert in America. He needs to, you know, survive. He's not going to just die in the middle of the desert. He definitely doesn't want to be picked up by government agents. He already knows what happens to aliens when they crash land and get picked up by government agents. So he decides to hide out in a quiet little backwater town in America, and he portrays himself as the local doctor. He can make himself appear to look human, but he doesn't actually change his shape. It's more of a telepathic sort of like power that he has to make people perceive that he looks human. Only 1 in a million people on the earth can actually break through this and see him as he is, but he's working on the fact that chances are he's not going to be caught out with 1 in a million people on the earth being able to see him. He also has this empathic ability, which comes in handy when the actual resident doctor of the village gets murdered one night. The police come to his secluded little shack in the middle of the woods to ask him if he can do a quick look over on the now deceased local doctor and give his view on what could have happened, which intrigues him. He doesn't quite know why yet, but it's something that he enjoys doing. It's a really nice comic. I'll show you some of the artwork in there. Do you remember the TV program Quincy, about the medical physician who also solved crimes? I was reading this and it actually reminded me of Quincy. A lot of you out there probably won't remember who Quincy was, but I used to watch it when I was younger and I used to enjoy it. There you go, there's some artwork, interior artwork there. See, he doesn't actually shape change or anything, he just puts into people's heads that he looks human, and to them he does. All he wants to do is just live his life until his people hopefully come to him and pick him back up and take him back to his home planet, which hasn't happened yet. The only thing is he's finding that he gets asked, because the local doctor gets murdered, he gets asked by the mayor of the town if he could just stand in until they get a proper doctor, you know, a more permanent doctor to come in, which doesn't look like that's going to happen. But yeah, it's a really fun story. It's really nicely paced. The artwork in it's really nice, and it's a fun read. So that's issue 0. Starts off with issue 0. There's issue 1. And I'm really looking forward to issue 2, actually. It looks like it's going to be a really good miniseries from Dark Horse. I think Dark Horse some of their miniseries can be hit and miss, but this one's really good. And what do we have? Finally, we have quite possibly the biggest sci-fi crossover ever. Okay, possibly the biggest sci-fi crossover ever. It's from IDW, and it's Star Trek Next Generation and Doctor Who Assimilation 2. There you go. That's the cover B for that. And this was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I read Doctor Who I read the Doctor Who comic published by IDW, and I say it's a guilty pleasure. It's not so much a pleasure; it's more the fact I get it because it's a Doctor Who comic. Not really that enthralled by the stories that have been published in Doctor Who comics by IDW, and the artwork is a bit iffy in that. But the artwork in it, if they had artwork like this in the regular Doctor Who comic, I would be happy as a pig in swill. I would. I'll show you. There you go. Absolutely gorgeous painted artwork in there. And this is really the Borg and the Cybermen teaming up to assimilate and to delete humans and humanoids to create more Borgs and more Cybermen. And I mean, here you go. This is how good. I mean, in the actual Doctor Who comic, the guy who draws the comic, I think his name's actually Matt Smith. It's Matthew Smith. He really doesn't have the right kind of artwork for Doctor Who. This, on the other hand, is brilliant. This is, you know, photorealistic. And there's Matt Smith as the 11th Doctor. There is Karen Gillan as Amy Pond, and they are in a chariot race in ancient Egypt. Now, yeah, it does look like it's one of those artworks where they've actually taken a photograph of somebody and then just painted over it with Photoshop or something. But it works. It looks really nice. And I think actually the portrayal of the 11th Doctor in this comic is a lot better than the actual portrayal of the 11th Doctor in the main Doctor Who series that was published by IDW. Absolutely brilliant. And here we have, I'll tell you, this was, I must admit, I did give a little bit of a geeky squeal sort of thing when I saw the Doctor walking out the TARDIS with the Ponds. Yeah. They think they're on Earth, but are they on Earth? How cool is that? I mean, come on, even if, you know, if you're a Star Trek fan and you don't like Doctor Who, or if you're a Doctor Who fan and you don't like Star Trek, this is definitely worth picking up. Absolute, this is science fiction gold. And I can't wait to see what happens in issue 2. I think it's an 8-issue miniseries. And again, the only gripe I've got is the fact that it's the $3.99 price cover. But there we go. Can't have everything. Right, I think that's it. That's all the comics I need to review for today. Thank you for watching. Thank you everybody who's subscribed. I really need to try and sort something out with the subscriptions and do some kind of raffle. As soon as I find something that I think is worth doing a raffle over, I will probably do a raffle with that. And hopefully more people will enter that raffle than the last one they did. Either that or it looks like Ghost Critic will probably win again. Yeah, thanks for watching. If you have any comments, that's what the comment section down below is. If you like the video, thumbs up. If you didn't like it, thumbs down. But don't be a chicken. Don't just thumbs down and run off and hide behind your mum's skirt. Say why you didn't like it. No, I'm not going to bite you. I'm not going to have a go at you. Maybe, you know, I might come around your house in the middle of the night and mix up all your CDs and that. But other than that, you know, nothing too vicious. But yeah, thanks for watching again. Thank you everybody for subscribing. Hope you enjoyed it. See you again soon. Ta-ta for now.